Good Friday morning, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by BASF and Certain Corn Herbicide. Unleash residual power early to allow for pre- or post-application to attack weeds at their weakest. I'm Dusty Sonnenberg reporting. Under cloudy skies, I have 22 degrees on the barn thermometer this morning. The snow has not started to fall yet, although it looks like on the radar it is moving in. It looks like where you're located will determine how much you get. This quick calendar reminder, Ritchie Brothers is having a large auction on February the 10th. Visit rbauction.com for all the details. Also, this programming note, tune in on Tuesday as we will be broadcasting from the annual partnership meeting of the Ohio Federation of Soil and Water Conservation Districts. Ty Higgins will have all the latest updates. Speaking of Ty, let's check in with him now as he has an update about crop insurance from Farm Credit Mid-America.
If you're thinking about planting more soybeans earlier than corn, what should you consider from a crop insurance standpoint? Lindsay Schwinn is an insurance officer with Farm Credit Mid-America.
With crop insurance, there are a lot of options depending on which insurance provider you might be insured with. Most every insurance provider offers an early replant option. So your crop insurance policy comes with a standard replant option. However, you can also buy an additional replant option on top, which grants you a lot of times 2 weeks or 10 days earlier planting window. If you were to have to replant within that early planting window, you are paid, whatever coverage you elect, but you are able to insure the crop to its fullest ability, even if you choose to plant early.
As you know, a lot of farmers are looking at that input line and trying to make some decisions economically speaking, but it's not really all that much more to use those earlier options.
Right, yeah, I think a lot of guys would be surprised. It really doesn't cost a whole lot more. And in the event of a replant situation, when you are paid for replanting, it could pay for itself in a hurry. So I think crop insurance is very flexible with planting intentions and guys getting out earlier and earlier and changing what they had intended maybe to do mid-season. Crop insurance really, it's there to work with you and for you.
Lindsay Schwinn, insurance officer with Farm Credit Mid-America. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Ty Higgins reporting.
Thanks, Ty. Well, let's get a check now on our Friday and through the weekend weather forecast. Today's weather update brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Learn more at seedconsultants.com.
Clipper system moving through Ohio today, and then we get a little bit interesting for the weekend and next week. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Quick look at that Ohio Ag weather update. Today's Clipper taking dead aim at Ohio, coating to 2 inches across 100% of the state. Now, you may get the coating, you may get the 2 inches, but I feel very confident everybody sees at least a little bit of snow by the time today is done. We do start to see the clouds break a little bit overnight, but I don't think we get completely rid of the clouds for the weekend. Strong cold air coming across the Great Lakes region. Lake effect clouds here. I'm not concerned about precipitation, but some clouds off and on, and temperatures stay below normal. The big warm-up that we've been talking about for a while now, yep, it shows up right on cue on Monday. Good, strong surge of warm temperatures Monday, Tuesday, early Wednesday. Rain develops Wednesday afternoon and continues through Thursday. We take a break and then could see a major storm complex for next weekend heading into Valentine's Day. Rain, thunderstorms, and maybe even snow. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's check in now with Joe Everett as he has some news for those interested in farm drainage.
Advanced Drainage Technologies will take center stage at this year's Overholt Drainage School, scheduled for March 16th through the 20th on Ohio State's Wooster campus. The 5-day program focuses on subsurface agriculture drainage design and installation, covering topics like planning and laying out, drainage economics, GPS surveying, drainage law, design software, and conservation practices that help manage water quality. The school is open to a wide range of attendees, including drainage contractors, engineers, consultants, agency professionals, and landowners who want to better understand drainage systems for their farms. Instruction is led by experts from Ohio State, state and federal agencies, and industry partners. Registration cost is $650 with discounts available, and the deadline to register is March 5th. To learn more, you can find this full article today at ohioagnet.com. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Joe Everett reporting.
Thanks, Joe. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after this. It's time for the Morton Buildings Building Value Days sales event running now through the end of February. Morton buildings are built stronger, last longer, and look better. So if you're planning for a garage, farm shop, stall barn, a storage building for your RV, boat, or collectibles, or anything in between, act now. Our buildings are built to last, but these savings won't. Visit MortonBuildings.com or contact your local Morton office to take advantage of current savings on new buildings. Certain restrictions may apply. Offer valid only on select new building orders placed between January 5th and February 28th, 2026.
Hi, I'm Greg Peterson of the Peterson Farm Brothers. If you've seen our videos, you know we're proud to be farmers. Farming can be dangerous. Never assume location or depth of underground utilities or pipelines. Before you start any work on your farm, call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com to have underground lines located. It only takes a minute and can save your life.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Well, looking outside, seeing snow on the ground, one of the last thoughts that comes to mind is probably the Ohio State Fair. But Joel Panorwood has an update on some changes to this year's warm summer fair schedule.
One of our favorite events to cover here at Ohio AgNet and Ohio's Country Journal is the annual Ohio State Fair. And joining us right now, someone who is an expert on that topic, Alicia Schultz. She's Deputy Director of Operations and Experience at the Ohio Expo Center and State Fair. And Alicia, thank you so much for joining us here today, talking about some exciting changes coming up at this year's fair, including some major schedule changes that were recently announced. So before we jump too far into some specifics, let's go over kind of big picture schedule changes. What is to be expected at this year's fair, specifically for livestock exhibitors to take note of?
Yeah, that's a really great question, Joel. So, first of all, this year's Ohio State Fair, the dates are a little bit later. We run July 29th through August 9th. And something that not everyone may realize is that we work really closely with the Ohio Fair Managers Association and all of the county fairs across Ohio. So our dates, as well as their dates, all are kind of based on when Labor Day falls. And so this year, this is the latest Ohio State Fair you will see, and the earliest Ohio State Fair you'll ever see is July 23rd through August 3rd. But to get to your main question, we do have some different things that exhibitors will experience this year. Many of them are very familiar with our pretty long pre-fair that we have. Traditionally at the Ohio State Fair, to get through all of the species and all of the exhibitors that we want to be able to showcase here in Ohio, it's taken us about 21 days in the pre-fair, days before the general public Ohio State Fair opens this year on July 29th until it actually ends. And so we've actually condensed that down from 21 days for the vast majority of our species to 15 days. So the exception is junior horses and the junior dog show, which still will be a little bit early, but all the other species have at least a portion of their show that's during the 12 days of the Ohio State Fair. So that's definitely going to be a change that some of our exhibitors will experience this year.
Goat crews are particularly excited about that because a lot of that, and it's a growing show as well, happening. And a lot of things are happening towards the end of the fair, right? Currently, how the schedule stands. Give us a rundown of kind of those major shifts, I guess, towards the end of the fair, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, so to your point, the goats, we're going to see a little bit of a change because a lot of the goat shows have all been pre-fair. So this year, boar goats, dairy goats, as well as pygmy goats will all be within the 12 days of the Ohio State Fair. And those shows will actually take place in the Voinovich Livestock and Trade Center alongside the beef shows, which will still be in that building. So as you look at the schedule, I highly encourage any exhibitor to go to ohiostatefair.com and check the dates because some of those may have shifted. For example, session 2 dates may have slightly changed in when they fall, or the market show versus the breeding show may have changed when it falls. And no one knows your species and your entry information like you do. And all of us Ohioans, we're creatures of habit, right? We're used to, I always come on the second Wednesday. I always come 5 days before the fair. And it might be a little bit different this year. So we definitely want everyone to check the website, to check the dates, and make sure that that flows well with their personal schedules also. Because again, creatures of habit, they may have other activities that they normally plan, and this could be a slight shift in those activities.
Specifically, as you kind of mentioned there, in the Voinovich, going from, it's a beef-only facility in the past, but now going to have some goats and otherwise. How's that going to work? Any glimpses into how that layout might happen?
Yeah, that's a great question, Joel. Well, what I first want to do is really shout out every one of our beef department directors as well as our goat department directors. Everyone's been working really closely together with open lines of communication so that we can all achieve this together, recognizing that we're taking a building where you were used to having one show ring and one set of shows going on at a time to now two different show rings. We've got the beef show rings, which right now are laid out on the south side of the building, and the goat show rings on the north side of the building. Goats will also pin and stall right there in the Voinovich building, and beef will continue somewhat as it has been. There'll be some tie-outs in the building, but we know many of our beef cattle prefer to be under the viaduct, so we'll still see a lot of those tie-outs continue to be under the viaduct. But what you'll also experience in there is we're making some changes to the way the sound works in the building, so that because we have these two shows that are going to be going on simultaneously throughout the fair, so that people who are watching one show won't be disrupted by the other.
Alicia Schultz, Deputy Director of Operations and Experience at Ohio Expo Center and State Fair, giving us a glimpse into some of the changes that are going to be happening at the 2026 Ohio State Fair. Livestock exhibitors, take note. Thanks, Alicia, for joining us here on Ohio AgNet and Ohio's Country Journal.
Thanks, Joel.
Taking a quick look now at some of the stories trending at ohioagnet.com, farmers across the Buckeye State can rest easy at night knowing that what they harvest is being used to guard and protect their farms and families. Thanks to a generous donation by the Ohio Soybean Council as part of their Patrol with Soy program, Ohio soybean farmers are donating a set of soy-based Goodyear Eagle Enforcer all-weather tires to each of the 88 county sheriff's offices across Ohio. According to the Ohio Soybean Council, replacing these petroleum-based materials with soybean oil provides improved cold weather flexibility, better traction in wet and snowy conditions, and is a more cost-effective alternative. Tires made using soybean oil have been on the nationwide market since 2017 through a research partnership between Goodyear and the United Soybean Board. You can learn more about this story and some of the local sheriff's offices that are using those tires, as well as articles by Dan Armitage looking at the Ohio Department of Wildlife's fish stocking, and even a nutty story by Shelley Detweiler talking about National Almond Day this month. All that, as well as your latest in markets and weather at ohioagnet.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back to get an update on what the markets are doing after this.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Whether you're in the fields or on the farm, creating a safer work environment has never been easier. BWC's safety consulting services are included with your policy premiums and offer training and education for everyone in your farming operation. It's always the right time to make safety a priority. Visit bwc.ohio.gov or call 1-800-644-6292. The Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation, here to help you work safely. Let's take a look at what's impacting the markets. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to bring a brand new soybean crush facility to Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Learn more about marketing your soybeans with LDC at 574-566-2113.
Grain markets finished in the green once again, sharply higher on soybeans. Interestingly enough, it was an inside day on the soybean markets on a Thursday. That means we did not go above the previous day's high and did not go below the previous day's low. However, we also finished in the higher end of the range, actually within a penny or two of the top on soybeans, and so that leaves us with a Friday that could go any which way. There was a massive inflow of money into the marketplace out of investors and managed money. China seemed to be surprised by the Trump comment over 8 million metric tons. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Remember, the terms that were used were consideration, not commitment, and so it really kind comes down to, are we getting the cart before the horse here just a little bit? Sources are telling us the grain industry had no advance notice that Trump talked to Xi or would talk to Xi about additional soybean purchases. Fun times. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's take a look now at how your markets closed yesterday. This market update brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Well, March corn closed up 5.5 cents and May corn was up 6. March soybeans closed up 20 cents while May beans were up 21.25, and March Kansas City wheat closed up 8.25 cents while March Chicago wheat was up 8.5, and March Minneapolis wheat closed the day up 5.5 cents. Now in the overnight trade, it's been a turnaround to the negative as March corn is down a penny at $4.34 and May corn is down a penny and a quarter at $4.41 3/4. March soybeans trading down 4.5 cents lower at $11.07 3/4, and May beans down 4 cents at $11.22. Wheat for July down 3.25 cents at $5.51 1/2 cents. Thanks for joining us. This is the Ohio AgNet.